All right, we're back on the stream. Welcome everyone. My name is Kaiserin Estrella. Just a couple minutes ago, we played Seduce Me 2, The Demon War. We did the Diana's romance route, and I got a bad end. Also, I did not have the Twitch setting where it automatically archives streams. So this time, I'm recording and streaming in hopes that this time it will be better. And I'm going to try to get the good ending this time. So I think what happened is that by being too possessive, too aggressive, it triggers Cero's obsession. So if you're like, who are these people? I'm going to go through the beginning stuff once again, though I think this time I'm going to skip some introductory information because there's a lot that you don't actually need to know going in. So with that, I'll just dive right in.
Hold on there! Before you start the game, I need to ask you a few things. Don't want you getting lost now.
So meta.
First of all, have you read the first story, Seduce Me the Otome? Oh, okay, awesome. Next question.
Basically, that was just, it would go through a 10-minute long explanation of the first story.
You do know this is Diana's route, right? The succubus princess that tried to bring the boys back to the demon world?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. All right then. Diana's a very interesting
I'm also
character,
eating chips,
huh?
I'm sorry. I'm really hungry.
Anyway, I have one last question for you. Some people like hearing the trigger warnings before they start games, while others don't really care and just want to play. It's cool either way, but do you want to know about some of the content listed in the game?
Yep.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Well, this game is recommended for players ages 18 and up. Trigger warnings include suicide, war, torture, mentions of rape, and a large amount of violence and sexual content.
You know, all the good things in life.
Don't worry though, any sex scene choice you encounter is completely up to you. You can play this game without needing to go through the sex scenes and still get the good endings. Consent is important.
Yeah.
I think that should be everything. All right. Phew, that took a while.
You forgot something.
There's our bae.
Huh? What did I forget?
You forgot about the disclaimer.
Oh, crap! Oh, how could I have forgotten about that?
It's fine, I'll take care of it. This game was produced by Michaela Laws using the Ren'Py visual novel engine. We truly hope you enjoy this story.
We will, babes.
Thanks, Diana. Now, don't you have a war to go fight?
I do. I just wanted to make sure everything was in order before the story began. I'll take my leave now.
Thanks, Di.
Do not call me Di.
Seems a little morbid.
Anyway, we really do hope you like the story. Have fun. See you at the end.
Well, last time I didn't see you at the end. You know why? Because I fucking died. Oh. Alright. Well, here we go again. Estrella. I was in love with a succubus. It was true. I had fallen for the charms of a succubus, and I was about to dive headfirst in the demon world with her to save her kingdom.
Do you have any regrets?
None. I smiled as Diana held me in her arms and carried us both through the night sky. We had shared a sweet kiss, the first of hopefully many in the future, and were about to cast a spell to enter the demon world. Diana looked to the ground that was far below us and pointed her free hand down towards it, closing her eyes.
Revetara tenebras, girato locum, pater portas.
As the last word left her mouth, a large purple pentagram appeared in the grass before twisting and becoming a black void. I gripped onto Diana, scared at what I was seeing.
Last chance.
I gulped at the sight, not sure what to make of this. Was this really what I wanted to do? My curiosity, however, guided my decision and forced me to take a deep breath. I closed my eyes and let the calm watch over me before looking up at Diana. Let's go. Diana smiled and wrapped both arms around me, laying a protective hand over my head.
Hang on.
I tightened my grip on Diana, obeying her command. As I held her tight, I felt air quickly begin to rush past our bodies as Diana tilted back and let us fall towards the ground. Oh my. Was she insane? I looked at Diana, seeing her smirk at me before closing her eyes. I did the same, naturally preparing for an impact with the ground. You know, because I had already done this, I kind of don't want to read through the whole thing again. Well, as shitty as it is, I think I'm going to load. I'm going to load, so, what had happened last time is that, Sarah confronts us. And because we were so overzealous, we got killed. So instead, this time, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say I love her too. Sarah was serious about his affections, so was I. Sarah stared wide-eyed as I smiled and nodded to him, understanding his feelings. I feel happy when I'm with her. She taught me so much during the time we spent together, and about demons in the 5 worlds. I can still hardly believe it all exists at once. I looked back to Diana, seeing her continue her dance with a concentrated expression. The more I thought of her, the happier I felt myself becoming. I mean, look at her. She is an awesome demon princess. She fought the demon lord and won. She's doing this dance to commemorate or honor the dead of one of her allies. Like, he's the last of his kind, and he was like, I'll ally with you if you honor my dead. And so she's doing it. And while doing that, Sero, who we have... we've kind of ticked him off. We've given him some vibes of being possessive, being like, no, she's mine, whatever. So this time, we are not going to do that. I thought of all she had done. Well, what she did was a tragedy. So, just to recap. In the first game, basically what happens is that she uses your grandfather's life force to get into the human world. And so she is the reason your grandfather died, and you love your grandfather very much. But you learn about magic from her, and she makes it up to you, and she's actually a great person. She was just desperate, you know? Like it's saying right here, while she did was a tragedy, it was in desperation. She had no choice. She was told by the demon lord, we will not attack if you go to the human world and bring back my sons. So the sons, which are the normal romance routes, they leave because the demon lord is an evil bastard. But she wants to protect her kingdom, so she goes to the human world to go after them, to bring them back in order to save her kingdom. But that doesn't work out. She doesn't get the boys back, obviously. But then on top of that, she comes back and her kingdom is in flames. Her parents are dead. Her little sister is dead. And that's where we are now. She's fighting the war. She's fighting to bring an end to his tyranny. So, she had no choice to do what she did. I understood that and knew eventually that without the act, I never would have learned about this world or magic at all. Before I met her, my life was boring and bland. I went to school and was only allowed to think about my future. Her dad is obsessed with her becoming like this like crazy businesswoman and taking over the family company. That's why she loved her grandfather, because he was so loving to her. When Diana appeared, she changed my life. She showed me an entire new universe, and I will never be able to thank her enough for that. I know you've been with her for a very long time. Okay, so this is the other choice. Which actually, I chose the same. Okay, this time we're gonna try, but she's important to me. Sarah needed to see her importance to me. I desperately loved her and wanted to be with her. That's why I came in the first place. I wouldn't let Sarah's love for her sway my feelings for her. I was given silence as Sarah's reply. Okay, so that's not bad. Before, like, the atmosphere turned cold, like it was bad. Diana's dance continued into the night, surprising me. She had had this much stamina. Despite watching her, she didn't stop to break once, most likely expending energy to keep moving. How long did the dance have to go for? As the torchlights illuminated the space, and the moon was at the top of the sky, Diana finally stopped, panting hard and clashing the sabers together to cause a ring of steel to bounce through the air. The audience clapped wildly, many deeply captivated enough to stay the entire time, as some joined during the later hours of the ritual. The brute, whom I decided to dub Sergeant, stepped from the crowd into the ritual space and walked towards Diana. Letting the sabers vanish into the air, Diana looked to the one approaching her with a tired stare. Silence lingered between them as Sergeant held out his arm to Diana. With a smile, Diana reached out and clasped her arm onto his forearm.
Honorimus dirigendo pedes.
Victoria in consummatione.
They just consummated their alliance. Another round of cheers echoed through the air as the words exchanged between them. I smiled, knowing that Diana had appeased Sergeant and his people. Diana released her hold on his hand and nodded to him before looking towards me and ushering me to her. I quickly rushed over as she lifted her arm and placed it along my shoulders tiredly. Diana?
I need a little help.
I could feel Sero's gaze on my back. Would he step in and fight me, doing as she asked? I looked back to seeing him watch with a blank expression. That's good. Before it was a glare. What was going on in his mind? So before in the story, what the part I skipped over, our character had a dream that he like goes batshit crazy and like locks Diana up and wipes her memory of us, and he kills me. And that's what comes true if you make the wrong choices, which I did. With a laugh to Diana, I laid her back to my room, where she sat tiredly on the bed. The exhaustion in her face was clear, and her body quaked from overexerting itself. You dance so beautifully, Diana. With a smile, Diana looked at me and blushed a bit. To see her face go a slight pink made her look so adorable.
You flatter me, dear.
I could only smile before she slowly stood back up and took my hand, surprising me. She kept her head down, however, which made me even more confused as to what she was doing. Diana?
Dear, I'm sorry.
For what? Diana grimaced a bit before looking at me with serious eyes. They flicked back and forth between red and gold, but she stood her ground.
For the intolerance from my kind. Humans aren't exactly welcomed in this world.
That's what this was about. I understood completely, but it seemed to hit Diana the hardest. After all, she was the one who brought me to this world, so she feels responsibility for keeping us protected and comfortable here. I cupped Diana's cheek and smiled at her, causing her expression to go from shame to surprise. Diana, it's all right. I think I can go with my previous choice. I love you. Diana hitched her breath. It was true, though. I had grown to love her for everything she had done. She was brave, powerful, and beautiful. Everything I desired in a person. Such a weird thing to desire. Bravery is fine, but powerful and beautiful. We're gonna say instead a powerful soul and a beautiful spirit. That's it. My heart beat wildly for her, and I can only pray that she understood my feelings. Diana looked to our hands, her eyes watering a bit. I instinctively wiped her eyes with my fingers, now concerned. Diana?
I don't know what love is.
It's so sad. I stared dumbfounded. She didn't know what love was. However, she surprised me by placing a gentle, shaking hand on my cheek, leaning in.
But I'm willing to learn, if it's with you.
Aww. I gasped slightly, seeing the earnest and care in her eyes before she closed them and gently planted a kiss on my cheek. A soft shudder ran down my spine as I felt her soft lips press against my skin. Okay, so this is where sexy scenes happen. So, I'm just going to save right there. And we're going to say, let's rest. We're going to remain non-sexual content up in here. I smiled at her, feeling my heart beat wildly for her. I was so happy to know that she seemed to love me back. That was enough for me. Dinah nodded with a smile of her own, giggling silently. What is it?
Nothing.
Her face was bright, like a schoolgirl after confessing her love. However, I could tell that she was handling it much more maturely than one. That part of her made me love her that much more. We went to bed that night, knowing that the days ahead would resumed to be full of work, struggle, and the need to be strong for one another. Okay, so I did something right, because last time, after this scene, she was gone because Seto had kidnapped her. But she's here, so that's good. I woke after a peaceful sleep, staring up at Diana as she leaned back against the bedpost, reading a book I didn't recognize. As I started to shift, Diana looked down at me and grew a loving smile.
Good morning, dear. Ready for today?
Despite feeling the tired effects of the morning, I nodded with a smile of my own. I could tell that today was going to be a good day. Diana closed her book and placed it on the table beside the bed before standing, stretching her body. However, mid-stretch, Diana froze. In fact, the entire room became frozen, as if time itself had stopped. Oh no, what? Huh? Diana? I felt myself move freely, despite the air around me being still. I stood from the bed and walked around Diana, seeing her frozen like a statue. What is going on? Yeah, really, what's going on? I have a feeling that Sero caused this.
Human.
Ah, speak of the devil. He's not even a devil, though. In the last route, we learned that he is half angel, half something else. He was discarded from heaven. He's discarded from heaven to be thrown down, and Diana's parents took them in, but as soon as they learned of what he was, they tortured him, and Diana is the one that saved him, and that's why he's so in love with her. Hello. My heart froze as I looked to see Seto by the corner of the room, arms crossed, and stare cold as ice. What was he doing? Seto, what are you...
Come with me.
I'm scared now. Without another word, Seto left the room into the hall. I was massively confused, but followed, now worried what would happen if I didn't. As we walked down the hall, I was stunned to see every person in the castle frozen in time. He's actually got powerful magic. How is this possible? How is Seto doing this? Seto was silent the entire walk. Eventually, we walked into the gold set of doors which led into the chamber where her family was killed. I hesitated, staring warily at Seto before seeing him open the chamber. Oh, what? Where is this? To my surprise, the room changed from a nursery room full of blood into a view of an outdoor space. As far as I could see were trees and plant life, bustling and full of life. What the hell? Seto stepped in and waited at the door, ushering me inside. I followed, despite my every nerve in my body yelling me to just run back. I had to see this through, whatever this was. I'm very concerned. I mean, at least I'm not being crucified. Cleansed of my sins to go to heaven. Seto led me into a forest of trees, making sure I was able to see him the entire time, until we reached a patch of land with a singular large tree covered in purple petals. Whoa. Yeah, it's really pretty. Here, you can see him. It's cool. He's got, like, weird markings on him. I found myself become entranced at the sight. What was this place? Why is it here? As I examined the tree, I noted the major abundance of fruit in its branches. I smiled, noting exactly what they were. Sweet flowers.
You know of them?
I nodded. Diana gave me a slice of one in the human world. They're the best thing I've ever tasted. I could faintly remember the taste of it. It was perfectly sweet and moist. I was so full of energy after that day, I could hardly keep it all in. Seto let out a small chuckle, drawing my attention.
I was barely walking when I had my first taste. My lady climbed the tree and picked it herself before splitting it open down the middle and giving me one of the halves.
I smiled slightly, imagining a young Diana and Seto doing such a thing. As my gaze wandered to the tree, I spotted the crowns of Diana's parents and sister at the base, making me frown a bit. At the sight, Seto let out a small sigh.
Tell me honestly, do you truly believe you can make her happy?
I looked up at Seto, surprised at the question. His face was stern and serious as he gripped to his spear in a white-knuckled grip. Why was he asking such a question? With a nod, I took in a breath and stood up straight. I do. Well, I don't know what to say. I'm going to say, I want to be the one to make her happy. I truly loved her and wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. I knew that Sero had been with her his entire life, but I couldn't stop what I was feeling for his sake. Sero stared hard at me, taking in what I was saying before raising his spear, pointing it at me.
You truly love her?
I do. I'm sorry if that upsets you. A moment passed. What would Sero do? I prayed that he wouldn't strike me down. I prayed he was willing to listen and compromise. With a small chuckle escaped Sero's lips, causing me to look at him in confusion. His face painted his concern and his strange thoughts on this almost humorous situation. He lowered his beard and shook his head.
It doesn't upset me. I just want Azir to be happy.
That's not what happened last time. Just saying. You seemed a lot less, as do I. This is bullshit. This guy's crazy. He loses it. Last time, he just fucking... he kills me. Sero locked eyes with me, gazing to my soul to judge my words for their truth. I was being honest and truly. To know that both of us cared about and loved Diana was amazing to fathom. Eventually, Sero smiled slightly, despite his heart breaking beneath his eyes.
Then, you should continue being at her side.
I mean, that's what I intended. I was astonished. Sero was giving me his blessing. I wasn't sure what to say. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing was able to come out of the sheer shock I was in. Sero, however, chuckled quietly, holding his forehead.
How pathetic am I? I was ready when Diana went off to marry her betrothed, but I'm nowhere near ready for this.
Yeah, like I said, so the reason that Diana went to the human world and killed my grandpa by accident was because she needed to retrieve the demon lord's sons because she was supposed to marry the eldest, James. And so it's he already knew that she was going to be with someone else. She knew that they couldn't be together, and yet now, of course, things had changed now, so I'm sure he had some hope, but, I kind of, I threw a wrench into that plan. Yeah, I couldn't help but frown. Sora deeply loved Diana, and I felt terrible having to be the one to break his heart. Still, I couldn't lie to myself about this. I would have been in the same position if Sarah took away from me. I took a breath, trying to be strong. I'm sorry. I promise, though, that I will protect and love her for the rest of my life. With a grimace, Sero looked at me once more, judging my truth. When he found no deceit, he nodded and took a shaky breath. For the first time since we had met, it was the first time I saw him give up.
What is going on?
Oh, shit! Hello! Sero and I looked to the direction of Diana's voice. Oh, she broke out of it, seeing her completely red in the face with anger. As she walked forward, Sero bowed his head in submission.
My lady, I
asked Sero if we could talk in private. Diana stopped walking and stared at me with the most confused look I had ever seen. I giggled a bit before stepping to her and taking her hand. I wanted to ask him if it was okay to be with you. He's part of your family, after all. Sero looked up at me in shock, but not in an unpleasant way. He seemed more surprised that I was covering for him than anything. Yeah, in another life, you get speared because of him. He goes crazy. He uses his magic to bind her and lock her up. Okay. Diana looked to Sero, seeing his expression before looking to me in mild curiosity.
You asked him if you could be with me?
I nodded, pulling her to me slightly. As I softly said her real name, she slightly gasped in shock. Azir, I love you and I want to be with you forever. I know that I'm just a human, but I want to be by your side and love you for the rest of my days. Oh, that's sweet. Diana was completely speechless. She stared deep into my gaze, both in shock and utter amazement. I, however, stood my ground. My heart was in the air, hoping it wouldn't come crashing down. As Diana smiled, however, it began to swell. Diana gently held my cheek and caressed it lovingly.
I would be honored to call you mine, my heart.
Oh, that's so much happier. This is the best. I would be honored to call you mine. Aww. I couldn't stop myself from crying. Oh, my chest became overwhelmed with emotions of love that I almost couldn't contain myself. I kind of feel bad that Sero has to watch this. Seto stood and smiled at the both of us, causing us to look over. Diana's hand squeezed over mine as she looked apologetically at her guard. Yeah, I mean, surely she knows.
Zero,
It's all right, my lady. All I have ever wanted was your happiness.
Seto walked over and gently leaned over, kissing Diana's cheek before stepping back.
I will serve you and protect your love for as long as I live.
Oh, cool. Good. I need your crazy magic. Please. Diana choked a sob, covering her mouth as tears gently began to flow from her eyes. Seto only smiled and walked around us toward the castle, where the castle was, leaving us together. We watched him go before turning to each other. I wiped away Diana's tears as she slowly tried to calm down, despite it being futile. I chuckled a bit at the sight. I love you, Izaor. Diana took a breath, trying to regain herself, before pulling me to her and wrapping her arms around me.
I love you too.
Wow. You know, like literally last night you said you didn't know what love was, so this is quite sudden. Not that I'm upset about it, but quite sudden. I love that she kind of looks like a satyr. Or a centaur. No, satyr. Satyr works better. I leaned up and captured her lips in mine, earning a sweet kiss back. As our lips touched, the wind around us picked up, causing the leaves on the tree above us to sway. Pink and purple leaves that had fallen from the branches flew up and danced around us ecstatically, as if the world was giving us its blessing. I was more than happy to be with this woman, and I vowed to give her everything, as she would do the same for me. So we're like demon married. We were completely happy. The energy that sparked within Diana completely filled her with power, giving her the strength to completely annihilate the Demon Lord's army almost single-handedly. Dang. What many expected to take years to accomplish, Diana took days. Every attack the Demon Lord threw at us ended with him becoming utterly defenseless, soldierless, and powerless. Despite him managing to escape each time, we dwindled his troops to a mere handful of imp demons. Yeah, this is much better. Though we're battling some intense shit. Soon we had cornered him against the stretch of water called the Decaying Sea in his castle. Cero, Diana, and I stood upon a cliff top, staring down at the legions that had gathered below us as we mentally prepared ourselves for what would be the final battle. Oh, oh, oh.
To think this will finally be over.
You're gonna avenge your parents, your little sister that was an infant. It's gonna be great.
Once it is, you will become the new queen of this world.
Uh-huh. I looked over to Diana, seeing a soft glimmer of fear on her face. Was she not prepared for that responsibility? It's a lot. I mean, she'll be the demon queen, and she has all these allies, and she's gonna have the responsibility to basically keep peace between all these people. So, I mean, that's a lot to accomplish. I took her hand, causing her to look over at me in surprise. As I nodded, I let a grin paint over my face. You will be an amazing queen. One full of compassion and love. Diana looked to the crowd and stepped forward, slightly arcing her back towards the legions below. She was no longer just Diana. She'd become the mighty queen of the rebellion. One that I loved with all my heart. That's so badass. The queen of the rebellion.
Milites! Et hoc liberati sturai tramcun tuis omnibus conversiris! Sto vobiscum reducitic vos ad spem, nocte, lavabir mur, arcem, hostium sanguine.
So what, from the little I remember of Latin, she's saying that hear me, I'm talking to all of you. I think the omnibus conversis, that's, all conversation. So it's, a conversation to all, liberating us all, by night. By night, I think it says that the streets will be washed in blood. All right.
Dio dominati sun nostri, nocte struet, ium mitere, profundissimum, inferni detractos.
Something about fire. I don't know. Diana summoned her saber, letting it shine brightly as the purple taint over her skin began to twist and turn. Before my eyes, the taint on her back took shape, lifting off of Diana's skin and morphed into her beautiful demonic wings. I watched with pride as Diana's bodies lifted off the ground and began to fly over the legion, slowly gliding towards the castle.
To war! To battle!
And that cry marked the dawn of change. The demon world would end the age of the demon lord's tyranny and begin the age of united peace and prosperity. With Diana soaring through the air bowed to her and proved her worthy of such power. I love, look at her eyes. I love that, just glow. It's like she's just like, yeah, Super Saiyan. As I stared, time around me slowed and I took in everything that had happened. We were at the end of this war. Where would we truly go from there? Who knew? But I knew that I would be at Diana's side forevermore. I managed to seduce her. Haha, seduce me, but no. I managed to seduce her into bringing me into a new world and experience everything. We were in love, and I was certain that she would become a beacon of life, not only for me, but for every demon in the world. After all, she managed to seduce me too. The demon war was only the beginning of our lives together.
Well,
credits.
You did it! Congratulations! You've made it to the end of your story. I have to say, I am very surprised at how it turned out.
Me too.
Nevertheless, I'm glad things worked out in the end, whether it was for the better or otherwise. I mean, come on. You got to be with a succubus and help her fight in a war. How crazy is that?
I mean, it's pretty crazy. I'm basically like co-queen.
You even got her to admit that she is in love with you. Go you! Demons are very hard to convince that
She's
you
like
love them. Tell me about it. I know.
She's like my own personal cheerleader.
Anyways, you've been through a lot, so why don't we skip to... Huh? You want to know what happened after the war? Well, I mean, I guess I could tell you. After the war was finished, the entire rebellion celebrated. Word spread far and wide about the rebellion's success, and soon every kingdom in the abyssal plains had become united with the new authority. You would think demons would be more hostile towards each other, being demons and all, but the threat of the demon lord was what brought the entire world together. The final battle between Diana and the demon lord became quickly one-sided, as he was no match for the power she had gathered from your love.
So, it's literally like a true love conquers all scenario, because it's like true love, all the sexual energy ever, rah, you know?
Guess the power of love really does.
Holy shit, she read my mind.
Anyway, when the war ended, the entire rebellion celebrated as Diana presented his head to the masses like a trophy before burning it and letting the ashes sink into the ground.
Good.
The day after, she became queen of the demon world. It definitely shocked her, and it took her a while to get used to being called Your Highness by the other demons, but you helped her through it. Sarah began to focus more on the military and only guarded Diana publicly. When they were out of the public eye, however, Sarah left her to you to care for. Diana always preferred your company regardless.
Good.
You got her wrapped around your little finger, don't you?
I do. She loves me, and I love her.
There's still the question of what you'll do now that the demon war is over. Diana is the queen and all, so she can't really leave.
Why would I leave?
You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
I stay. Be a liaison for humanity. The demon world finally knew peace. It was a grand moment, the sounds of million cheers echoing and burning themselves in my memory in celebration for the end of the war. Diana had finally destroyed the demon lord, and soon enough we would watch her become the matriarch of the abyssal plains, uniting the entire world under her rule. It was almost too unreal to experience and see as a human. However, I was happy for Diana and proud to stand beside her and support her through it all. The war was an experience and a half, and I would never forget it as long as I lived, which isn't very long. As for me, I found myself drawn to Diana, hoping to spend every night with her in my arms. Oh, with her in her arms. The human world would become faintly drifting memory as my life embedded itself into the demon world. Many demons questioned me, but Cero and Diana defended me with every conflict that came up. However, there was never a day that went by that I didn't wonder, did I make the right choice? It was a heavy chapter of my life, one that tested the love between me and Diana. My heart seemed to remind me that I had come to the demon world to help Diana, and now it was time for her to honor her end of the deal. She had to teach me everything about the 5 worlds and about magic. As a queen, that wasn't possible now. To my surprise, I didn't seem to mind. I had been given the experience of a lifetime, and I easily accepted it as a promise fulfilled. The faint memory of my own power slightly tinged through me every time I grew confident, eagerly reminding me that I had my own strength. I would never let anyone become me and Diana ever again. The thoughts of it all echoed in my mind as I laid in bed, looking up at the ceiling with a wide smile on my face. Despite the dangers being real, the war was an adventure fun to look back on in my memories. Well, yeah, no one really important died, so you're just like, oh, that was fun. I took in a breath and let out a sigh, leaning back against the pillow beneath my head and closing my eyes. I was at peace, and everything was all right.
Are you okay, dear?
Oh, look! Oh, she's so pretty. Look at her little blissful face. Oh, I love it. She looks so happy. Like, all her sprites are only not very, they're not overly happy or anything. So this is really sweet. Aw, I love it. I love it a lot. I opened my eyes at the sound of my pet name, looking up to see Diana smiling at me from her side of our bed. I could only giggle and cuddle closer to her, feel her arms wrap around me. I was just thinking about us.
Were you now? What about us?
Aw, everything. Our journey together. With a smile, I nuzzled Diana's chest softly and closed my eyes, listening to her steady and loving heartbeat. How thankful I am to be here with you. Diana stared down at me, gently hugging me to her. I could feel her own joy at the situation resonate from her embrace and her kiss over my head.
I am thankful that you're here too. You have done so much for me.
I mean, you did all the
you
you did all the hard work, but yeah. I couldn't help but look at her beautiful ruby eyes, feeling her stroke my cheek lovingly.
I vow to make you happy and protect you with my life.
And I you, Azaor. The sound of her real name rolling off my tongue made her giggle and nuzzle closer to me. I loved her real name, and I loved her holding her against me.
I love you.
Yay! I believed every word. I let her words embed themselves into my heart, and I would remember them forever. As Diana hugged me to her warm body, we let out a simultaneous sigh of contentment. I would love her and continue to hold her close for the rest of my life. Nothing would ever be able to tear me away from her any longer. And that was my perfect happily ever after. End. The right choice, E. Do I get a... You'd think I'd get a, achievement. I love how bad ends don't trigger this. So the bad part is that I guess the playthrough was a lot shorter. One, because I skipped half of it just to get to the getting to the real end by making the right choices. I'm pretty sure there is actually another end, but oh, Diana is voiced by the programmer. That's hilarious. I love it. Pickle 1, 2, 3. I don't remember any of these characters. Literally none. Dude, this lady is amazing. She wrote this song. composition was by Christopher, but she's singing. The programmer is a voice actress, a vocalist, like dang. All the Kickstarter backers. Savannah, happy face. They had a lot of backers. Crab nipples and Richard's pickles. Again, please just don't ask, okay? Barbed dicks. I'm sure that's what the demons have, you know, just barbed dicks. The end, question mark. Are they gonna make another one? What? Okay, let's see the extras. Gallery. So real quick, since I got this ending, you can see all the... this was her turning him human. I like it because of his face. Him being all demon-y, being like, let me get your energy. This is him kicking the ass of the demon lord. And our happy end. I'm missing one because I didn't get the other ending where he stays a demon. Diana? Yeah, that's the bad end one. So I guess you get two others, which I'm thinking since we have about 15 minutes till we hit the hour mark. You see this on the other routes. I've done Damien's, so real quick, let's load. I'm probably gonna have to look up how to get it just in case. Let's see here. So okay, so we're gonna load. Bibbidi boop bop, bippity bay. So we're gonna go here. So I love her too. Okay, so honestly, I'm still a little confused, even though I'm looking at a guide right now. I love her too. Because the ending is called I Am Thankful for You and You. Sarah, and you have to have a Sarah obsession less than 2, and you have to say, and I know you love her too. So I guess I'll say this. We both loved and cared for her. I could tell that Sero deeply and truly loved Diana, but so did I. She had done so much for me and I already felt myself captured in her spell. Sero had to have been the same. I was given silence as Sero's reply. This is the same, so skip. I love you, because I do. We saw this, skipping the sexy times. And, okay, so, and I know you love her too. I wonder if this is going to be like a three-way relationship. I think that's where this is going, so... And I know you love her too. I didn't want us to fight over this like children. Yes, I love her, but so did he. Who was I to push him away? After all, he had served her his entire life. Sero stared hard at me, taking it in, as I was saying before, raising his spear, pointing it at me.
You truly love her?
I do. I'm sorry if that upsets you. Moments passed. What would Sero do? I prayed that he wouldn't strike me down. I hoped that he was willing to listen and compromise. A small chuckle escaped Sero's lips, causing me to look at him in confusion. His face painted his concern and his strange thoughts on this almost humorous situation. He lowered his spear and shook his head.
It doesn't upset me. I just want Azayr to be happy.
He said that. We've seen that.
Then, maybe it's best that we both try to make her happy.
Okay, that's different. I smiled and nodded, happy to know that he understood. This wasn't a contest, nor was this something to fight about. If we both loved her, then the best thing to do was to both shower in the love that we felt she deserved. So it's like she's gonna be with both of us.
What is going on?
Sero and I looked in the direction of Diana's voice, seeing her completely red in the face in anger. As she walked forward, Sero bowed his head in submission.
My lady, I
asked Sero if we could talk in private. Diana stopped walking and stared at me with the most confused look I had ever seen. I giggled a bit before stepping to her and taking her hand. We needed to chat a little something. About you, of course.
About me?
I nodded with a grin before walking over to Sero and placing my hand on his shoulder, making him look up to me. I lowered my hand and offered it to him, helping me stand before continuing. We are both in love with you, Diana. The look on Diana's face was both hilarious and adorable. Her face turned completely red as her eyes darted back and forth between us.
Azayr.
Sero took a step forward and took one of Diane's hands as I did the same with her free hand. Diane looked back and forth between us, now completely in shock and uncertainty. Sero and I couldn't stop the smiles on our faces at the sight.
We love you and want you to be happy.
If it takes us both to do it, then we will happily do everything we can to ensure that happens, or that happiness. I feel like this is like two sibling parents, like, arguing over custody of a child. Like, this is weird. This is just weird to me. My heart felt like I had made the right choice. Sero loved her and so did I. There was no need to lay claim to her when she was deserving of ultimate love. If it was something we could both provide, then it was well worth sharing. I don't think in her shoes I would be so wonderful about it. Like if Kaiser had had another person after him, I would be like, no, you're gonna choose. Me or them. Diana's eyes began to water as she looked down and tried to catch her breath. Before Sero and I could worry, however, she softly chuckled.
You both are such fools.
For a moment, Sero and I became the ones confused, but Diana looked back up at us with a happy smile and soft tears running down her cheeks.
I don't deserve either of you, let alone both of you.
That's where you're wrong, Azayr. I stepped forward and softly kissed Diana on the lips, making her gasp and stare at me wide-eyed. I pulled away. I grinned. You deserve all the happiness in the world. This is so weird. Soto stepped forward and placed a kiss of his own on Diana's lips, causing another gasp to erupt from her and make the blush on her face deepen.
And we would be honored to grant you that happiness.
Diana couldn't help sobbing and covering her face with her hands. Seto and I quickly rushed to her sides, embracing her and sandwiching her between our bodies. We didn't want to upset her. Her body shuddered between ours, and she took a couple deep breaths, trying to calm down. Seto and I, however, began to pepper kisses along her hands and cheeks, wanting to comfort her. Okay, so we basically just became like puppies. Like, we're just puppies to her now. It's like not... I don't like it. It was hard to believe that we agreed on something, but Seto and I both wanted what was best for Diana, and both our hearts wanted to be with her. As long as we were both open about it, we would be okay. I don't think so. We were completely happy. The energy that sparked within Diana completely filled her with power, and giving her the strength to completely annihilate the... Yeah, we saw this. Yep.
To think this will finally be over.
Once it is, you will become the new queen of this world.
With 2 consorts. Sarah smiled as well, taking her other hand and making her look over at it.
That you will. And we will support you until the very end.
Diana's face completely turned beet red as Seto and I smirked at each other. We quickly leaned in and kissed both of Diana's cheeks simultaneously, causing her to gasp and straighten up like an arrow. So it's like, I mean, at least it hasn't gotten into like a competition of like who can, you know, whatever boat, you know, but still, you know, it's just kind of like, I mean, you know, normally I feel like with a open relationship with this kind of like 3-way love, you know, they would all kind of like be in relationships with each other. I find it a little weird that it's like he loves her and I love her, but me and Seto don't have that relationship. So it's kind of like weird. During the time before the siege, Seto and I managed to work out on our differences and found ways to double team against Diana whenever she was feisty, stressed, or needed care. I had to admit, we were the perfect duo. That's okay. Diana shook her head violently and glared at both of us before pressing a kiss to each of our lips, causing us to shut up the laughter we had released upon seeing her blush. Diana looked to the crowd and stepped forward. We saw this.
To war! To battle!
Hell yeah. Ta-da! Ta-da! Uh-huh.
Well, you did it! Congratulations! You've made it to the end of your story. I have to say, I am very surprised at how it turned out.
Me too.
Nevertheless, I'm glad things worked out in the end, whether it was for the better or otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think that was for the better.
Come on. You got to be with a succubus and help her fight in a war. How crazy is that?
Yeah, but I gotta share. I don't share anything.
You even got her to admit that she is in love with you. Go you! Demons are very hard to convince that you love them. Tell me about it, I know. Anyways, you've been through a lot. Huh? After the war was finished, you would think demons would be more hot. The final battle between Diana and the Demon Lord gets the power of love. Anyway, when the war ended the day after, well, you and Sero, anyway, both of you pretty much became her anchors and support the entire time through her coronation and beginning to rule the world. Sero, being told of the deal she made with you, convinced you to stay in the demon world with them, so that you'd be with her for the rest of your life. Though, I didn't think it was hard to convince you, was it?
No. I mean, at least, you know, we have, like, Sero supports us, so it's like, he's genuine in the want for me to stick around because we both make her happy.
You love the dickens out of her, come on!
Okay, yes.
Still, from what I hear at least, the 3 of you live happily ever after.
It's a little unfair. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die before them 2 do.
Huh? You don't believe me? Alright. Check it out for yourself.
I will. Okay, I'm guessing this is where we get different. Demon will find a new piece. It was a grand moment. Blah, blah, blah. Uh-huh. Yep. Mm-hmm. Many demons questioned me, but Seto and Diana defended me with every conflict that came. Yeah. Did I make the right choice?
Are you okay, dear?
Oh, weird. Oh, weirdness. Both of us are here. I open my eyes at the sound of my pet name, looking up to see Diana smiling down at me. I giggle and cuddle under her base. I was just thinking about us.
Who are you now?
What about us? Ciro only chuckled as he laid on her other side, listening to us speak to each other. Seto and I had gotten over our differences, and I was positive that we would be perfect together taking care of our demon queen. We both adored Diana and found each other both equally held close to each side of her body every morning.
I am thankful that you're here too. Both of you. You have done so much for me, and I will cherish you forevermore.
I believed every word. Weird. I would love her and continue to hold her dear for the rest of my life. Nothing would be able to tear me away from her any longer. And that was my perfectly ever after. So, okay, we saw it already. That's okay. Okay. Well, that is it for her. Not gonna lie, I like the, I get to have her ending more. I don't share, so. Also, it's just kind of weird. I mean, you know, like, it's really hard to balance out affections for, you know, more than one person. So I'm sure it works for other people. It just personally doesn't work for me. So, but still, I really enjoyed her route. I really, really loved it. It was a lot of fun. I really liked that, you know, even though this is a Otome game, you get to seduce a woman, so it's kind of a little bit more LGBT friendly. I love that. Being bisexual, that it's like much appreciated. So that was that. Next time we will pick another route. I have no idea which one I'm going to pick since I've done Damien already. Yeah, I'll think on it. Maybe I'll do the baby boy, because, you know, every Otome has the kiddish route. Might do that, just because I kind of like to get those out of the way, because they're kind of my least favorite. Being the big sister of my family, I don't really feel that, I just don't feel that, like, oh, baby, and then, like, being sexually attracted to someone that's, like, you know, got that, like, childish thing going on. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But, yeah, we're going to get through all these routes. And that's all for tonight. Thank you for joining me in my realm. And I will see you on your next visit. Bye!